The New England Patriots will go down as one of the greatest dynasties the sports world has ever seen. 14 playoff appearances in 16 years, 4 Super Bowl wins, 6 Super Bowl appearances, 11 AFC Championship games, and a few inches from completing an undefeated season that would have ranked them as the greatest team in the history of sports. And yet, there's something missing from the Pats dynasty, something that's been a part of every dynasty in the past. Fans. The New England Patriots are the first sports dynasty that hasn't developed a national fan base. Oh, the Patriots have plenty of local fans. There were the few diehards who followed the team for years and were rewarded with the most prolific run in NFL history. Then there are the folks who jumped on the bandwagon in 2001, when the area remembered it had a football franchise and turned a forgotten team in a city with the Red Sox, Celtics and Bruins into a source of civic pride. And then, that's it. Nationally, the Pats are almost exclusively hated and rarely loved, unheard of for a great team in a country that loves to root for a winner. Think back to all the great sports franchises of the past, the Steelers and Cowboys of the 70s, plus the 49ers of the 80s, built national fanbases that remain today. Every elementary school in America had at least one kid with Michael Jordan or Bulls gear. And then there are the Kings, the New York Yankees, who've won over 3 different generations with their greatness in the 20s, 60s and 90s. Grandfathers passed on the love to fathers who passed on the love to sons, and it happened everywhere from the New York suburbs to across the country. There are always fans who want to root for a winner, just not the Patriots. They seem to exclusively bring out the haters. That's part of the dynastic tradition too, of course. The Steelers, Cowboys, 49ers, Bulls, Celtics, Lakers and Yankees all have just as many haters as lovers. It's only natural. Sports neutrality doesn't exist, and when you see a bunch of people rooting for a team you don't like, you quickly find yourself rooting against that team. For every fan action, there's an opposite reaction. Winning breeds contempt. It's just that the contempt usually it comes in tandem with bandwagons and adoration. The Patriots never received the second part. Why? What's kept New England's fanbase largely within a 100-mile radius of Boston or those who once lived within a 100-mile radius of Boston? Why aren't there more people who love the Pats? It's not just for the reason you think, although, yeah, it's that, too. 1. Different eras. When the Cowboys and Steelers came to power it was a different time. Monday Night Football was new, in-market home games were just starting to be aired on television, except when there wasn't a sellout, which was common in the 70s, and football was exploding to a new audience. There were 4 or 5 channels on your TV and, given that Dallas and Pittsburgh were the 2 best teams, they were on more than anyone else. In the 80s, the 49ers temporarily became America's team thanks to their consistent greatness and the movie star looks and all-American image of Joe Montana. It didn't hurt that Montana was already famous before getting drafted by Bill Walsh. He played in college for the ultimate football dynasty, Notre Dame. Before the proliferation of cable and way before Sunday Ticket, Red Zone and the Internet, you only had access to so many teams. Now it's a fragmented audience. From 1970-80, the Cowboys or Steelers were in 7 Super Bowls and played each other twice in the NFL's championship. Throw in all the playoff games and the nationally televised games and of course there were people young and old jumping on the bandwagon. It didn't hurt that the NFL, while 40 years old at that point, was just becoming the NFL, surpassing baseball, boxing, horse racing and other sports to become the real national pastime. If you were apathetic and just getting into the sport, gravitating toward the best team was easy. Fantasy football has changed the way football is consumed. Rather than keeping up on a specific franchise, the fantasy owner can follow specific players, tracking their stats, injuries or deflation-related suspensions. You can now watch the sport without rooting for a team. There have always been football agnostics, but they weren't joining a bandwagon anyway. 3. They're just really unlikable. Nobody loves the Pats because it's almost impossible to like the Pats. Bill Belichick acts like a jerk, treats the press like a bunch of 3-year-olds, dresses like a slob and makes no effort to be likable because he's there to win football games, not care what you think about him. Tom Brady pulled a